As we continue to look at our classical tradition unit, we are going to talk today about probably the most famous portrait ever painted, and it is the Mona Lisa by Leonardo da Vinci.
So this is probably, a lot of people argue this is the most famous image of all time, sort of neck and neck with Starry Night, but it's a close one. So this was made in the early 1500s, about 1503 to 1506, and it is an oil painting on wood that's now located in the Louvre in Paris, which sort of contributes to its fame because at one point it was stolen from the Louvre, so it became really well known after that. And there's a lot of mystery, of course, about her smile. Is she smiling? Is she not? People talk about that her eyes follow you across the room wherever you stand. It's sort of up to you to decide if that's true or not. We don't really know who the woman is. We kind of have some running theories. Most people do believe it to be this woman named Lisa Gherardini, and she was the wife of a well-to-do Florentine merchant because this is the Italian Renaissance. And, it's just one of those things where Leonardo da Vinci painted this, and it sort of sat in his studio for a long time afterwards, just kind of in the back somewhere.
They say he even carried around with him the rest of his life. And so that's kind of where the mystery comes in. If he really did paint this, this Mrs. Lisa Gherardini for this Florentine merchant, then why didn't he give it to her? And so that's why kind of there's this mystery, all these people just speculate different things.
It's not like a clear lineage of he made it and then he gave it to this person who then passed it down through the family to this person. We don't really get that confirmation of who it was intended to be for, but it's still a really interesting artwork, of course. When it was stolen, this was in, 1911, there was a lot of speculation that Pablo Picasso, another famous artist, was behind the theft. We don't really, he wasn't. Ultimately, he was proven innocent, but it's just kind of funny how all of these things contributed to this artwork out of all the many amazing paintings and things that Leonardo da Vinci created. This became by far his most famous artwork. Leonardo da Vinci is one of those, we call them the Ninja Turtles, where it's the really, really famous Renaissance artist. And there's a reason for that. He was an expert in rendering the human form and getting faces to look three-dimensional, like you could reach out into them and that there's this space that's real and not just a flat 2D surface. So there's a lot of really cool things that Leonardo da Vinci did that was key to Renaissance art in general.
So he used something called sfumato in the background to kind of create this hazy look in the background, and it's hard to tell, but they think she was actually originally sitting in front of an open window, and so it has this famous kind of Leonardo's type landscape in the background.
The background is definitely kind of mysterious. It has this misty quality, and it definitely gives the impression that it's going way back in space, really far beyond, again, pushing that depth. Leonardo da Vinci was an expert at oil painting. That was a major invention of the Italian Renaissance. Before then, they were using something called tempera paint, or if you look back to some of the previous artworks we've looked at, they might have done fresco. This oil paint was brand new, and it allowed Leonardo da Vinci to blend his colors really, really smooth. You couldn't see brushstrokes at all. And the colors were so rich and so vibrant that even to this day, they may have aged a little bit, but it's just the top varnish. When you kind of touch up and you unveil the raw paint underneath that clear varnish, it is still as bright as the day it was painted, which is pretty incredible.
And a lot of people, they say, why is this painting so famous? And it is a lot of the mystery behind it, the mystery behind the identity, this kind of crazy-looking background or landscape or whatever. But there are some other things that students usually notice when they're looking at this. One is that her face is hairless, and
where are her eyebrows?
She does look a little bit odd. At the time, she would have been seen as kind of this ideal beauty. So, she may look not the most pretty, but back then she would have been seen as an ideal beauty. But it was kind of the in vogue thing. Like right now it's thick eyebrows. At that point it was no eyebrows, no eyelashes, and they would even actually shave back the hairline a little bit. So, if you're thinking she looks a little bit odd and wondering, well, why is this painting of this woman that looks kind of funky, so famous? That should give you a little bit. It just was the style then of women. So.
And it's sort of like, we've been talking in this unit about humanism and classical tradition. And when we think back to ancient Greece and Rome, they were really trying to show people at their best. Maybe ancient Rome, not so much. They were kind of showing every flaw you had. But especially ancient Greek art, it was all about idealism, making the perfect human representation, whether it be sculpture or painting or whatever. And so Leonardo was definitely paying homage to that and trying to show the beauty in this person who remains to this day kind of a mystery.